recording.
I thought there was going to be a recording sound. Thanks, Beck. Thank you so much. You're a great manager, and thanks for sharing and steering the creative exchange to the First Nation direction within Create. I give cultural and land and sovereignty acknowledgement to the First Nation clan, the Barramadigal people, where I'm joining you today from, out here in Daruglands, in what is now called Western Sydney. My name's Colin Kinchela. I'm a Boomalli Murray from northwest New South Wales, from a place called Tamworth. As I get older, I become more aware of First Nation people that weren't born on country, and I just want to express from my ancestors that I'm very proud that my parents understood the importance of that and fought for that birthright to occur. I live on Barramadigal lands now, and it's been a cultural touchstone for me, not being on country, but within that, where I'm from, there's the strong cultural practice of 3 words, which is Gara, Wandamba, and Thunbara. And Gara is strong, is to be strong. Wandaba is spirit, and Thunbara is connection. And I strive to continue my connections to my people up there, and to the connections down here in Western Sydney, where I call home. So, and Create New South Wales, their offices, their headquarters are right in Sydney, in Talawalada. So give strength and acknowledgement to the ancestors from that place, and where Create New South Wales calls home. So today's guest, we're really excited to be to have Malara Bunjalung and Midakudi woman, and a good friend of mine, Kyra Kum-Sing, for this 3rd episode of Creative Exchange. Kyra has agreed to join me today to have a yarn about her role as curator at Boomalli Aboriginal Artists Co-operative, and to discuss the strong the self-determining elements of that organisation, and how cultural governance works hand in hand with self-determination, and how that has strengthened that arts organisation for decades. Kyra, how you going?
I'm all right. How are you all? Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Where are you? I don't think you're down here where you usually are, where you work. Are you back on country?
Yeah, I'm actually on my father's country, which is Gungalita. So I'm up here in Mungabai, beautiful burp town, the crocodiles run. So yeah, up here at the moment on the camp. So that's why I'm in the car at the moment, jumping on my nephew's Wi-Fi.
That's certainly
no reception.
No reception otherwise. That's so good. Really happy to have you. And it looks like it's pretty sunny up there. Hey.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm definitely not missing the cold in Sydney at the moment. I'm here. Has got a bit of a rainy time down there, so yeah, I'm lucky enough to be up here where it's around, I think, like 27 or 29 degrees, something like that.
Yeah, right.
So very lucky.
That's pretty amazing. How long have you been up there for?
Been up here for I've been away for a month. So I finally get to come back down the line soon. So
yeah,
I'll be back down to Sydney soon to go back to work and get better, get more stuff done, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that are joining us are quite jealous of like seeing Sort of the blue sky there in the background and the reflections on your sunnies there. Hey, look
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
That's,
it's too
oh my
dry.
goodness. Um, Last night I was like preparing for today, and then I was like thinking, sis, like, how long have I known you? So consulted a platform in social media to find out how long that we've known each other. And like, is it, I think it's 2014. And I don't know if that's right, but like I'm trying to think like back then and what did you I mean you're a curator now with Boomalli. Was in 2014 were you
I think I was
studying to
working.
be or were you
I was
sorry, yep.
actually working. I think I might have been working for the AMS in Redfern at the time, the Aboriginal Medical Service in Redfern.
Ah yes.
If not, it might have been. Yeah, yeah. I feel like it was during that time when I met you. Yeah,
Yeah.
all those years
Oh.
ago. Yeah.
It's we're clocking up the years
Don't say
there.
that now.
No,
No.
I think it's fantastic. Um, and I kind of like think I knew that you were in sort of the medical or sort of um, well dabbling in that before you sort of moved into the arts, so to speak. Um, could you tell us about how your engagement with Boomalli started? Was that sort of not very long after, or how long were you in the working at the AMS before you kind of switched over?
Oh, oof. Well, like every sort of person at that time, I sort of left the AMS because my I had a bit of sorry business. My grandmother had passed at that time, so I just needed a bit of a break, and I decided to go home to my mother's country, which is Bundjalung country on the northern rivers. But
Mm,
I was lucky enough to go and enroll in uni, so I went and did my degree at Southern Cross Uni in media journalism, and then I come back to Sydney and was looking for a job and I couldn't get a job anywhere. So I started out really basic at Boomalli as working on the Saturdays and Sundays during
yeah,
those times, which I reached out to Bronwyn at the time and asked if there was any positions because I felt like I needed to be in the art space because growing up, my mum was a writer, so and a health professional. So
yes,
it was just important to sort of maintain that sort of strength in who I was as an individual. So it fitted perfectly with who I am at Boomalli, and we've got a great team there. And
yeah,
the way their belief systems and stuff, the organisation around the self determination and doing it for our mob really
sure.
fits in with who I am. So yeah, that's how I
Mm.
ended up at Boomalli all them years ago. I think like 6 or 7 years now. Yeah.
Okay, so 6 or 7 years. Wow, that's that's great. So you sort of dipped your toe in, sort of, so to speak, and then realized it was a good organization and there was things happening there. Like, were you a visual or some sort of other artist
Yeah,
as well,
I
or
attempted. I attempted to be a dancer for a bit. That was when I was very young.
yeah, right,
And then I sort of, I always say I got dragged up in the movement because I'm like, mum was very political, and so I was always and very
yeah,
passionate about looking after our mob and make sure and that we had our continual connection to it and also maintain it, and which is something that's very important for especially for the next generation, the younger ones that are coming through as well, to
um,
understand that. Yeah,
yeah,
so that's how I ended up where I am, and I have a love for the arts. I always will stick up for our mob to be able to have a space in that arena, I guess, in the sector, and
yeah.
that's why it works well. I could really go
Okay,
anywhere, but I really love Boomalli and the
yeah,
team. They're great, and we just want to make sure that we get our stories out there and our art out there for everyone to see as
mm,
well. Yeah.
mm. Could I well, I'll describe Bamali to everyone in a sec. and bring them up to where we are.
Hmm.
And I wanted to sort of share with you, I wanted to ask you, I'm going to say some names, and I want to see what these names mean, and then I think it would follow on quite beautifully. When I say the names, Bostock, when I say the name Foley, Riley, Western Power, Moffat, Samuels, Bancroft, Quillen, Martin, Meeks, Western Power, and Croft, what do these 10 names mean to you?
Ooh, they're definitely big at that time. They're our founding members at Boomalli, but in their own right, they've all done something totally amazing. And
Yes.
I feel like as a collective, that strength when they sat down and thought about this idea of opening up Boomalli in 1987,
Mm.
it was something that I don't think they realized the power of where it was going to end up for our
Mm.
next generation. And to see those people, they were like a few of the breaking into these spaces of the urban power and all that sort of stuff. And especially in Sydney during that time, it was so hard. So to even be able to come together to bring something so amazing for our next generation, I feel like, yeah, they're just powerhouses in their own right, each and every one of them. And
Mm.
yeah, hats off to them for thinking about such a great idea to put us all into Bumali, I guess. And
Yeah,
now it's the next generation coming up, which
very
yeah.
true. Beautiful. I want to share with everyone as well, and if you don't mind, I'd like to read out Bamali's organizational statement, or the sort of, you guys, everyone that's joining us can, look up Bamali online, and um, I want to read out their organizational statement, if it's called that, and I'll just read it out. And in reference to those 10 artists that started Bamali, um, the statement reads, "These 10 artists were striving for recognition from mainstream arts society, and their diversity was unparalleled. They challenged preconceptions around urban-based Aboriginal artists and created a unique space for themselves within the art world. But Marley's journey has included many highs and lows, but they have survived. They have persisted at every turn to stay open for their artists and the wider community. They survive on very little funds, a lot of love, hard work, and dedication from staff, volunteers, and supporters." And now I'd like to read the one powerful sentence after that online, and it says, "Bamali's goal is to restore the artistic voices of New South Wales Aboriginal people, comma, first colonised and last recognised." And when I read that last night in prep for today, Kyra, I was like, whoever wrote that, that's powerful, and it's reflecting what is happening within, I suppose, primarily in the visual arts world, about what constitutes New South Wales visual art First Nation artists. And I really love, I really love Bamali stating that. Um, and they've always done that, yeah. They've always sort of welcomed artists to hone their craft and their visual, their career, but also highlighting the strength of what it is to be New South Wales based. Could you elaborate on that a bit? I think it's quite powerful, really.
Yeah, well, I guess when we've got to take. I feel like that writing come from Bronwyn, so I feel like that because she's our head strategist still at the table. So
Yep.
even though she's a founding member and a founding um and an artisan as well, she's still very heavily involved with Bumali. And as our head strategist, she has just been a powerhouse in making sure that we keep our existence within this space, and especially within New South Wales Aboriginal language groups. Like I'm up
Mm,
here right now looking after like up here with my father on my father's country. He's a Murray, but when I go home, I'm a Guri and I'm from the northern New South Wales, and that's something that is always got me. When people come to New South Wales, they always look for the different style arts, which are mainly not even in our practices. And I think if we want to be real, we need to look after our own backyards, and looking after those New South Wales artists gives those the confidence and skills
mm,
to be able to get out there and actually not be afraid of the arts, because it's quite a once you're in this space, it's quite challenging to maneuver through it. But I
yeah.
guess that's why we try and give those people the skills, like our artists, those sort of skills to be able to hold space and hold ground wherever they are. And I
Mm.
think I took that word from you right now, that holding ground. Um, yeah. So um, in saying that, it's also giving them that artistical expression to do whatever they want in any type
Mm,
of mediums.
mm,
And it could be contemporary, it could be, it's through that contemporary lens, but you can also do your stories, but you also know which parts not to tell and not to tell. Like them old fellas were pretty smart with the way they made sure information was transferred to our next generations. And I
mm,
think it's about the importance of listening, and it's not always just about oneself. We've got to be
yes.
we are a community. So within that within that, we need to also make sure our brothers and sisters aren't fallen down. And too long in New South Wales, it's happened to our artists, and that's why I think it felt so right for me to go into this space, because that's what we do as self-determined. We need to be able to be determined to be able to look after our own mob and our communities and not forget everyone. Very hard though, because you get exhaustion and burnout and stuff, but that's why we get
Yeah.
to come home to country. And look, I'm in town at the
I
moment,
know.
but if I
I
was on
know. You're
camp,
making me
I'd be,
jealous.
if I was on camp, I would be out right now. And it's just that I've had this interview to do today. That's why I'm in town. Otherwise,
Oh.
I'd be sitting there on the riverbank fishing.
I heard you were quite, yeah, you got some fish the other day too, eh?
Yeah, but it's not, that's only the first one. We'll get more.
Oh
We're
my
good for
goodness.
big Burketown barramundies. Yeah,
Oh, delicious. So good.
yeah.
I need to get out of Sydney, go back home. Um, so Boomalli, yeah, it's the longest running Aboriginal owned arts organization. And what you were saying before, which I didn't say before, was New South Wales language groups. And, I suppose the right angles of how New South Wales is cut up, um,
It's tricky.
colonial, I can't even say the word colonially. Um, our borders are more organic and more curved, and even my own country, my nation, extends into New South Wales, into Queensland,
Yeah.
and that's really powerful. Is there more knowing that knowing that there's this sort of this a lot of revival of First Nation languages and
Yeah,
sleeping languages, like, is that coming through some of the artwork a lot more now, or
uh,
that you've seen in
definitely.
7 years, or
Yeah, you can see that. You can see the language coming back. I think that's a big push from the Department of Aboriginal Affairs. They wanted language to revive and come back, which is interesting in its own right, because we're oralty and it's been passed down,
yeah.
and a lot of the language was written by colonial and researched in diaries and in a lot of these big main institutions, and stuff like that. But it's an important element for our mob to be able to speak that, because that is also a main part of who we are, is to be able to speak your lingo and
Mm,
understand it as well. And like I remember growing up when I was a kid, my great grandmother, she would rattle off all the dialects of Bundjalung. And to now I hardly hear people speak it, but to hear this next generation speaking it, it might be a bit of a
Mm,
mix mash of the dialects within it,
yeah,
but they're
yeah.
having a go, and that's the one thing you want to see. You want to see your mob feel like they have a sense of ownership and proudness about who they are, because we live in a world where we feel like we are in two worlds, and
Mm,
that's some of the stuff that is really hard and complex, and there's many layers of why we are how we are in today's society. And I think I was just fortunate enough to be able to have those conversations with mum and stuff and nan, and be able to just go
mm,
home and know where I'm from, where a lot of other people don't have that. So
yes.
if it helps them to get along and bring them along with different parts and elements of their who they are, they feel a bit better, and it
Yeah.
gives them that sort of proudness. And I've seen a lot of language being revised back into the artwork, that sort of,
Yeah.
there's all
That's
that
great.
different stuff, and people are using it. They just need to realize that some parts, yeah, it's complex, but I guess each and every one of our mobs in this space learns along the way as well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, for sure. And that's
yeah,
I champion that. I acknowledge that. I see that when I go into art spaces that have that defined cultural safety put up, and it's almost breathtaking. Like every time when I go to Boomalli, and we're talking about Boomalli, I I get quite yeah, emotional going to that space, because there's the history of that place, but also the energy that makes a place safe, and a lot of love is put in that place, and we're talking about cultural, those big cultural institutions that have our language or documented languages and that kind of thing, and artists are becoming more and more determined to go into that space, that colonial space, and go and search and research and claim back language, even it's oral, but and phonetic and that kind of thing. It's really beautiful to hear that artists that are coming through now are embedding that, or using language and their languages within their artworks. I think it's very empowering, and it adds another cultural
yeah.
strength.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's like to go on from that. Sorry, Colin. I just
no, no,
when
please.
we
This
talk
is
about self-determination, it's about holistic approach, and it's about looking at it from not
yeah.
just one method. You got to have all these different elements, because if you're not well in one space, how are you going to do
Mm,
something? A lot of these things are just ways around making your space safe. And you're talking about Boomalli and where what it means in for over three different language groups. It's to make your mark, to make a strike. And that's Bundjalung and Gamaroy and I think
yes.
Kamilaroi. And that's what it means. It means to
Yeah.
make your mark, take your
Yeah.
stance and make your moment. And it's about
Mm,
also learning about what it means to be holistic in that sense, and also not just thinking about oneself. It's bigger than that. We are community, so we need our mob to thrive, and we also need a bit more funding from a lot of our government organizations. So I'll just put that one in too.
oh, geez.
When we can get it, but grants up for guaranteed stuff like that,
No.
and like you got to find other ways and methods and any means necessary to survive, and that's what we do at Boomalli as well.
So true.
We've got a really great team. It's not just me. There's a team. There's a whole
Right.
lot of us, and we've got over 60 artist members from New South Wales. So I think that
Um,
that's strength, but I'd really love to see a lot more rural and regional and remote um, communities join up as members at Boomalli, because I feel like that's some parts
okay.
where we'd love to see a lot more of these other organisations and places coming in to be able to see that a diverse range, because it is very diverse when you get in there, and it's definitely a different and unique space when you go in compared to a lot of
Yeah.
those sterile sort of gallery spaces that can sometimes
Yeah.
feel like you're in a morgue.
Yeah, for sure. Very sterile, very clean
Yeah.
lines. Um, if you can I'm gonna say what I think a blackfellow curator is, and then please add to it or say that that's not what a blackfellow curator is.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how do I? Because I'm not in it, and I suppose it's an entry point for the viewers and myself as well for to hear about and to respond to what I think. And like luckily enough, a few years ago, I dabbled in visual arts, and I had something at Boomalli, um, which was good enough for me. Like I was really happy that that happened. But anyway, I've written down what I thought a black curator is in the visual arts sense, and I said, what did I write? I said a black fellow curator is an individual that sees the bigger picture of a collection of artworks that have a connective tissue or theme that runs through the works, and then that curator puts them together. That's really basic. That's me just going, am I anywhere? Am I throwing the spear in any direction of that, or am I upwind?
I think that there's some truths to that. Yeah, definitely. Um,
Yeah.
Look, to tell you the truth, when I started out Boomalli, I did not know what a curator was. So hands up,
Okay.
wouldn't have a clue.
Right.
Um, at that time, and then I was yeah, I applied for the emerging curators position at Boomalli,
Mm.
and I got it. And you know, once I realized, I feel like for me, it's that you definitely have that collection of art, and we have a very, like I said, we have so many different artists, and
Yes.
there's just so different, and the variation of different and mediums, any sort of thing with the arts. There's also a big admin side behind it too. Like you got to get the funds. So there's the administration side of the curatorial, but then
Right.
that's when you have teams and all that sort of stuff to help out too. But I feel like it's a bit of a story. You got to read that story. You got to understand why them artists do things. Sometimes you can actually read it in the
Yes.
painting without even talking to the artist. And but
Yeah.
the when I sort of curate in especially in Bumali, it's about curating it to the story of what your exhibition is about, and
Hmm.
also around how each sort of artwork sort of works in their position, and why you put that in that space, and the reasoning behind it
Mm.
is so different. So I think I make it look a little bit easy, but trust me, I there's moments where I sort of go, oh my goodness, what am I doing? But you
Yeah.
know, I think that's one thing when you're a natural storyteller, and I have that ability, and that's what I find that a lot of curators have that
Yeah.
style. But yeah, it's that collection of art that we also want to make sure that our mob are proud about. And so if we don't put our best foot forward with making sure our artists are safe in their spaces and creating those different stories and themes and elements for them to be able to talk to, it
Mm-hmm.
builds awareness for everyone. So I guess, yeah, sort of as a role, I would say it's a lot of things curatorial, but for me, I feel like it's the best way to be able to express those stories that need to be told for the public to be able to see.
That's it's so in depth. My little effort of trying to describe it in a few sentences
it's
doesn't
it
it's
varies though.
lightweight. Uh, and I suppose within that every time you get the chance and opportunity and the love to curate a new exhibition, then again you're going through the motions of that whole
It's like a new book some days.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. And you're exhausted by the end of it. This is just the sort of curatorial I do. But there's that extra drive because you're doing it for mob, and it's
yes.
important to make sure that everyone who was in that exhibition, they feel proud of their work too, and we don't want to represent them. Um, n- we talk about having these safe spaces. We need to make
Mm,
sure they're there for them artists to be able to feel safe in them, and so it's working
mm,
with them as well. So yeah, it's a lot of everything, but you've got to have multiple different skills to sort of pull it together, which we seem to do at Boomalli all the time. And we've got a great team. Might I
constant.
say, I've got a great team of very strong females, so very matrilineal in the Boomalli office. But yeah, it works, and we got a lot of artists there that really appreciate us just
Yes.
helping them out and stuff as well. It's not helping them out; it's guiding them so they can help themselves, because that's what self determination's about.
I I love that. I I I love seeing that in practice. Uh I always pinch myself when I see when there's you know discussion or just sitting around having a cuppa and then it sort of switches into something serious about my work or the work and where it's going to be seen and it uh all the what ifs sort of come to surface, and I really like that because artists feel safe to start talking about what if this happens, or I'm just riffing at the moment. But um self-determination, I mean, I looked up, there's like um a government version of what self-determination is, a cultural version of what self-determination. And then I was like, okay. And then I just
So,
I saw some three words, and um, I kind of distilled it down to three words. And I don't know whether it makes sense, but I think again, I'm sort of just it's surface level type of explanation, and it's choice, participation, and control. um, Choice, participation, and control. And I think, you know, we're always wanting to feel like we're have a voice or control of how we engage and put our art out or contribute to something collective,
mhm.
um, through participation and that whole first thing within to feel like you have the choice to commit to that is powerful for me. And being a once upon a time an artist as well, and I kind of wanted to sit in that. And I suppose those sort of the choice, participation, and control is something that is ongoing. You keep feeding it, maybe to to still feel like you're self-determined, or you're in a collective, or you're with mob that empower you. Um, and when that works, I've seen it work. That's when you start making waves, or people start noticing what you're doing. Um, yeah, I don't know
Hmm.
if you kind of agree with that, but yeah, choice, participation, and control. I don't know. Maybe it's too clinical. Maybe it's too governmental. Maybe it's too I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, it's hard when it's getting led from government self-determination. It's got to be led
sure.
from each and individual community. Each community's got different and diverse and very complex issues, and I feel like if we gave those people their control of what is ours, what we've always been able to do without people around, without non-Aboriginal people, we say Urali on my mum's language, that
Mm,
means
mm,
non-Aboriginal. Um,
yes.
um, and it's making sure that we don't miss out our mob because, you know, for too long this land was taken and nothing ever got given back. And so if we have
Mm,
some sort of control, because we actually know what's in on the ground, what's happening, why are
mm,
our artists not making it through? Why are the select artists only getting chosen all these times, you know? Like we
mm,
actually got to hold ground and create these spaces for our mob to be able to do this continual work, which we I don't think in 1987 our 10 founding members would have ever thought that this place would still be going like nearly 40 years later. It's
yeah.
quite incredible to see that it's nearly been it's nearly been closed a few times, shut down through that rigorous
Yes.
paperwork that is amongst bureaucracy
Mm,
when it's
mm,
not needed and not necessarily needed in our communities. And I think that that's when a lot of our community organizations struggle because of that whole complexity of what government institutions think self-determination is compared to what
yes.
community do. So I think that
Yeah.
that's where I feel the control part gets too much from
It's
government
sidelined
because
or
a lot of
yeah.
those mobbing government institutions actually don't come from community or their communities or not known to them. So they're the people making the decision making for our communities to be able to get through. I
Mm,
might be rambling a
mm,
bit, but we need to
no.
be able to look at this stuff, and there's all different elements, and you know, you don't need an Aboriginality form when you go government, where we start looking for your bloodlines, because it's all about your bloodline connection and who you are, you know,
Very true.
and that's an important thing. And it's not government's fault, it's just that who's there, they're not the authority to say, you know, if you're Aboriginal or
Yeah.
not. So I think we got to also make sure we give faith, but we sort of give back to our communities that sort of sense of responsibility in making sure that these
Oh,
gatekeepers aren't around, you know, and being
love
able
that.
to do this stuff, you know. So
Yeah.
it's very complex, but
It is
in the
complex.
sense it is, and I feel like that it gets blurred because so much great work has been done before by all of those other people in those different fields, but
Mm,
when you're looking at it from that holistic approach, you realize that that control needs to get away from government and it needs to be put back into our communities and our community
mm.
organizations who are strong and who know their stuff. Yeah. So that's just my thought and feel around that sort of, yeah, around that.
Thank you for sharing that. I think there is um, a measurement that is flawed and in general like ways of and it's uh, yeah it's it's worth uh moving over to see what works best for community
Yeah.
and that whole thing about asking what community wants really
And we're all going to
is
say something
paramount.
different
Yes, as well too. That's
as
and
diverse
that's the
people, you
beauty of
know.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
Um,
one size fits all within our language groups, and I think that's where a lot of places generalize and think that we're all the same. But no, once you get down to the nitty gritty, we're all quite different. We might have similar practices and stuff, but
mm,
yeah, there's things that are completely doesn't make sense to one mob next to you compared to what you do here. So yeah, it's just
I
about having those
yeah,
different models.
That's it. And that's intrinsic and special to that place and that mob that have that. And talking about holistic, you know, we are all interconnected, all of our art practices, our even, you know, I would imagine that there is a lot of a lot of strength within artworks. Uh, would I be right in saying, and saying this for the viewers, there's other elements, other emotions within artworks that you get to see, get close up to, but also put in an exhibition and curate for an exhibition. And I'm suppose, you know, suppose it's other sort of other emotions about connection. We're talking about connection before. We're talking about I don't want to. I'm going to stop short of saying the word trauma because
There's a lot of trauma that
yeah,
that
but
comes with it. But I think that when you do things like art is expressive, and you can a lot of people do it during different phases in their life as well.
mm,
And if you want to take that on professionally as a career, that might be something that an artist might express in their artwork. And that's the beauty
yes,
of being able to produce works. It doesn't need to all be pretty. Like I was saying before, that whole complexity of us, like there's so much different sorts of emotions, and it's you got to heal. And country and art and all doing this stuff to maintain who you are from wherever you are from is
mm,
important, because that gives you that sense of well-being. You're safe.
mm,
You're where you are is how you feel. And sometimes you have to pull away from it because of that. So I guess it's expressive too, but it's also healing for those that
mm,
didn't sort of understand what it meant to be able to do this stuff. Like,
mm,
yeah. And does that sort of answer sort of where you're talking to,
definitely.
or yeah,
Yeah, I mean, um, art is subjective. Even that's a throwaway line, of course.
yeah,
But then, we want to start digging around what that means, or climbing up the tree of that and going out on the branches to see, what this means to make that work, or if I'm going through something, like I can only sort of, have parallels back when I was performing is, if I was going through something, like how do I put that energy or what I'm going through in life into that,
mm,
and it becomes a document, like
yeah,
that artwork is going to be always there, and that artist and the curator that is so close to them sharing that and is told that story. I think that's quite profound, and it's a little bit of them that carries with them,
hmm,
because they shared that,
yeah, definitely.
you know, um, yeah, and it's out there too. It's that strength. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like on opening nights, and I've, running parallels again, but like there's that thing of putting it out there, the relief, but also the pride and sort of the whole,
You
this
always
is
get
what it
nervous
is,
too
and
sometimes.
nervous.
Yeah,
Yes, and
some
nervous.
yeah. There's lots of like I don't like doing much public speaking, but lately I've been doing a bit more. Every time I do it, I get so
Great.
scared and nervous and everything. So yeah, just them things. Yeah, but
It's
you
good,
just got to
right?
pull through it.
You got to pull
Because
through it, but also you feel
yeah,
alive, right?
yeah, definitely.
People are saying in the chat, like, you should do more of it, and
Oh,
I'm I'm of that. persuasion as well that you should do more.
Well,
Here from Ali Murphy Oates.
yeah.
um, Here's another, like, I want to ask you about, like NAIDOC themes.
Yeah.
Every
Yes.
year they run them out. They run them out. I don't know who makes them, or what, I mean,
Hmm.
obviously the committee, and then what
Yep.
they want to choose to focus on. And then like this year, and for really, if you ask a black fellow about what NAIDOC week is, and they go, well, NAIDOC week's every week of our lives. It's, I suppose, all that sort of way of describing it. And like the themes of this year, 2025, is strength, vision, and legacy. And then, like, when I was just trying to find parallels about what Boomalli is,
It's
that
all of them.
place is, yeah, definitely. It's got strength, strength in numbers, strength, cultural strength. It has a vision. And through that, you know, and it's got thus far, it has a legacy. What do you
I'd
what's
like
the
to
next step?
also.
What's the next step for Bamali to continue that legacy? Like,
I definitely, yeah. There's a big. I gotta give my hats off, especially to people like Bronwyn Bancroft and Arnie Femi Bostock, and Jeffrey
mm,
Samuels. They were
mm,
they have been over the last six, and Aaron when he was around too. Um, they
no,
the in the last 7 years when I've had, or so long, how long I've been at Boomalli, it feels quite long now. You keep forgetting how long. um, it's if it wasn't for having those people around and seeing the passion they have for the arts, because I
mm,
feel like they've gone through it. They were probably one of the first or the second sort of generation space where a lot of our mob were finally getting out into the world and being able to be seen. Like you look at that fashion show that Brahman and Ani Femi did with the AMS, it ended up
yes,
being at the fashion week in
mm,
Paris, that's
mm,
like everyone's going around about fashion in in Australia at the moment,
that's
but that was
yeah,
actually one of the very first ones ever to ever go across overseas to be able to have a fashion parade with our mob's art. And there was another artist involved who I think has just passed on, so I just won't say the name until I'm not sure if the family's. Yeah, so there was a few
yes,
different designers that went over there and
mm,
have done some amazing stuff back then. And
mm,
I feel like when you're talking about people like Auntie Femi and who I was lucky enough to be very close with and
mm,
I miss them, sort of that woman, because the strength that Bostek family has instilled in Boomalli as well is not just from my time working there. It's been since the very start. And
yes,
like you got Bronwyn, who is just amazing in her own right. And, you know, a lot of her power to keeping this space open for us really has set the bar for a lot of us who are staff members at Boomalli to be able to keep going. Because, sometimes you feel like you can't do this because it's so complex and hard and stuff, and just want to beat your head up against the wall some days, but you realize why you do it. And I'd
yeah,
rather work at Bumali and in a space where we have our own sort of control of how we want to tell our stories, and it's not
mm,
from any sort of. It's how we feel needs to be done. We
yes,
listen to our artists. We make sure we take that time out to try and guide a lot of them. Like I said, all of that is in within that legacy, and it- we'd be lost without people like those up Mali. And they're the ones that have kept coming back to make sure that we've kept this place alive. And that's
yeah,
why a lot of us younger ones that are coming through want to got that sort of same passion. And I guess it's also a bit of stubbornness, because we know we need to keep this space open for our mob, and that's why I guess I work so well within that space as well, because
Mm,
you really got to have the passion and belief in our
yeah.
communities and our organizations.
I think that's it. That just feels so right hearing that. Like, of course, like there's a without being prescriptive, it's sort of like that personality type that has to fit,
Yeah,
and see the
definitely.
see the bigger picture, see the community aspect. You know what I mean? Like it's like you were saying, like this not looking inward all the time. It's looking out and how you're carrying with you um, something curated for a moment,
Mhm.
and that's celebrated, and that's you know, I also put the sort of analogy of like, when I was doing theatre, I used to tell everyone like, oh, it's like an exhibition, right? Here's the time frame, you know, come down, check it out, check out the play. If you don't, you missed it, It's not there to um be rewound and watched, And it's like an exhibition. Like I really love what exhibition space is and the time frame of exhibitions. And yeah, I've missed out on seeing some of Boomalli stuff. And then other times I was like, yeah, I need to go and see this, and make time. And, you know, that's special, It's not like something to be rewound or that type of thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And at that moment in time, it's always profound. I wish I was up there. I wish everyone was up there now. Because look at how bright and sunny that is. Um,
Uh,
ah, I think do you want to see if there's anyone asking any questions in the chat or if
yeah,
anyone would
you're
like
more
to
than
say?
welcome. I see the time at the moment. I'm like, oh, look at that time. That went fast. I didn't think
See,
we would
I
get through that
do.
fast.
Well, hang on. How about like so people not in the know, Boomalli is in Leichhardt. It's at 55 to 59 Flood Street, Leichhardt. It's kind of opposite that the what's that shopping centre there?
Market Square, I think
Market
it's called.
Square,
Yeah.
in Leichhardt. It's been there for as long as it's been around. Um, and
There's an
there is
organic supermarket next door to Boomalli, which is yeah.
also coming up. I know that we're running out of time and we're running, that window is closing. We were talking about exhibition space before and, performance. Um, there is the last exhibition to be put on this year at Boomalli in 2025, and it's called, let
I
me
am
just look at it.
Google.
I am Gurgun. Is that how you
Yeah,
say it, Gurgun?
yeah, yeah,
And in my language, like Gurgun is
yeah,
Kookaburra.
yeah.
Yeah, and in my language, it's phonetically and spoken the same, but it's literally what that animal makes is gugagarga,
Yeah.
and and that's one of my own personal totems. And it's a retrospective of work by, we're shouting out all throughout this about Bronwyn Bancroft, founding member, Dr. Bronwyn Bancroft AM, and you're curating it. You've created
Yes.
this show, and it's happening in a few months' time the opening night's on the 24th of October, Friday,
Hmm.
and that exhibition runs right over to next year, the end of January in 2026. Is that hasn't changed?
No, that hasn't changed. So still on.
Brilliant.
Yep. I can't wait for this one. I've probably been waiting to do a amazing job of making sure that we get a lot of Arnie Brumman's works happening. So we've got some of that. I was talking about that fashion parade. We've got some of her designs on loan from the Powerhouse, and a few different
Nice.
pieces from key institutions who have or acquired Brumman's work over the last 5 decades of her
That's a long
doing her
time.
artworks. Yeah,
That's
I
amazing.
wasn't born then, so I can't talk.
Oh, I was about to say I wasn't born either, but gammon. No.
Just
And I'm just, yeah, it's Boomalli's. I'll just read out what that is too. Is excited to announce that the final exhibition, yeah, is a retrospective of Arnie Bronwyn.
Mhm.
Um, there, and we'll have to, in another way or context, get you to talk about putting that together, maybe down the track, hopefully.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
amazing. Like to be, that's a lot of work to consider to be put through. And but then again, I'm sure Annie Bronwyn will be like, nudging and kindly suggesting what should be in there as well, or.
She's pretty good. We've got a great working relationship. She sort of realised that I'm very good at curatorial, and yeah, it's just about
Mm,
seeing her in that space, and it's about sort of giving you a bit of an insight into who Brahman is. And like I've been privileged enough to be able to work with her for many years, and I find her like a close. She is like an auntie to me, and
yes.
and also outfit like family. So we got a lot of love for Auntie Bron, and I feel like I just want to make sure that we do it right for her too. Because it's about also paying homage to those that have paved the platform for us all to be able to um, hold space. So that's why I'm in this doing this exhibition as well, because it's just going to be amazing. I'm hoping to turn the place upside down. No, just give it some love, and it should be a great show.
Oh, brilliant. I'll definitely make time to come and have a look at that because it's on for quite a while. So yeah, brilliant. I'm just getting I think we're about
Done.
to right on time wrap up, but
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks for joining. We didn't even get a chance to bring in people that wanted
Next
to
questions.
ask questions, but there we are, Bamali, Flood Street, 55 to 59 Flood Street, in Leichhardt. Is it open Monday to Friday or 7 days a week there, Kyra?
Monday to Saturday. So
Yeah,
anytime you can go in from 9 to 4.
yeah,
And
brilliant.
yeah,
What's on there now? I didn't even ask you. I was talking about what's coming over the horizon, but what's currently on there now?
there's a show curated by Kylie Caldwell, who is totally
Oh,
amazing as well. And it's of the Nia, and it's of it's the Bundjalung, it's the returning workshops and stuff. So all the artists of the up in the Northern Rivers who have been going there, and so it's their show at the moment, which is great because it gives me a space to be able to step away, to be able to be creative and get ready for the
yeah.
next few shows. And look, if you've never seen Kylie Caldwell's beautiful woven works, she is just an amazing artist who is continues to break through those different barriers in the arts as well.
Mm,
And she's from up home, and
mm,
to curate a whole lot of different Bundjalung artists in that space who live up there has
yeah.
been great too. So I'd say down there because they're all down at the moment from where I am. But yeah, normally when I'm in Sydney, it's up home, but yeah, I'm up here, so it's down home there. So yeah, that will continue on until the next. I think next month, and I've also got a solo when I get back at Art Atrium. So different things happening. So bit busy, but that's life.
Play is full. Love
Yes.
hearing that. Thank you so much for joining us today,
And thank
Kyra.
you, everyone. And yeah.
And yeah, thank you for joining all of us, or well, us too, and everyone here at Create and outside of the org. Pretty powerful words and insights there.
And a big
And
ups to Boomalli as well. And here's
shout
to the
out.
next 20 or 30 years down the track, eh?
Yeah. Oh, geez. How long will my beard be then?
Oh, don't even.
Don't
Hopefully,
even.
uh,
All right.
all right.
Am I handing it over to someone on?
Yeah, hi Colin. I'll just jump in for 2 seconds. Thanks so much, Colin and Kyra. That was fascinating. Really great to hear all of that, and really appreciate you giving up your time as well to share everything with us today. Thanks to everyone who joined online. I'm going to share in the chat a little link to a survey. If you wouldn't mind, if you feel like you want to, fill out the survey and let us know what you think of Create Exchange. Otherwise, thanks very much. And thank you again, Kyra and Colin, and we'll see everyone next time. Thank
Be
you.
well. Take care,
Yeah.
Kyra. Take
Bye.
care,
Bye.
everyone. Thanks, Yanni. And thanks, Beck. Thanks, Danilo. Yalu.